Hello, welcome back, and nice to have you here. Today we'll be going through AWS Solution Architect Associate assignment session. So in today's session, we'll be working on this Module 2 knowledge check. So let's get started. Let's start this. So what is the best definition of cloud architecture? Combining front-end and back-end software and components to create highly available and scalable web services that meets the needs of an organization. Applying cloud characteristic to a solution that uses cloud services and feature to meet technical and business requirements. Designing applications in cloud-based shared IT infrastructure by using virtual machines and fault-tolerant data stores in the cloud. Relocating traditional on-premise data center to internet accessible data centers that a vendor manages. So when you answer this type of question, so you need to understand what the question is asking. It's asking the best definition of cloud architecture. So when you read across all this, so all the answer seems correct, right? But here what we can say is that it's a cloud services feature to meet technical and business requirement. So the answer should be this one. So let's continue with question number 2. The AWS Well Architect framework has 6 pillars. 3 of the pillars are security, operational excellence, and sustainability. What are the other pairs of the web architecture framework? So in order to remember this, so remember in this way. CROPS, CROPS, CROPS. So it should be cost optimization, reliability, CR, operational excellence, performance efficiency, and then sustainability and security. So let's submit. Which actions are consistent with the operational excellence pillar of AWS Well Architect framework? Plan and manage the full cycle of hardware sets. Review and improve process and procedures on a continuous cycle. Ensure operational personnel document changes to infrastructure. Apply software engineering principle and methodology to infrastructure as code. Evaluate organizational structure and roles to identify skill gap. So I think so what the question is asking is which actions are consistent, right? So I think it should be review and improve process on a continuous cycle, and then the other should be apply software engineering principle and in infrastructure as a code. So I'm not sure if this is correct. Nice. So operational excellence focuses on system operation that delivers business value and continually improving process and procedure. A key design principle perform operation as code and apply the same engineering principle that is used for application code. An application requires a front-end web tier of multiple servers that communicate with a back-end application tier of multiple servers, which design most closely follows AWS best practice. Assign a dedicated application server and dedicated connection to each web server. So I think this is the best. This is not a good design, it's a very bad design. Create multiple instances that each combine a web frontend and application backend in the same instance. So this is also a very bad practice. Design the web tier to communicate with the application tier through the elastic load balancing service. So this is possible. Create a full mesh network between the web and web application tiers so that each web server can communicate directly with every application server. So in the mesh network, so I don't think this is the right approach. So I think option C is the right answer. Excellent. So this is the reason. Although ELB appears to be a single point of failure, but ELB would decouple the two tiers, right? It would decouple the front end and the back end. A solution architect is developing a process for handling server failures. Which process most closely follows AWS best practice? Operational detects a system failure, They notify the system administrator who provision a new server by running AWS console. Amazon CloudWatch detects a system failure. It notifies the system administrator who provision a new server by using the AWS management console. Operation detects a system failure. They trigger automation to provision a new server. Amazon CloudWatch detects a system failure. It triggers automation to provision a new server. So I don't think this is the right approach, because the administrator have to provision by himself. Also, this is not a right approach, because operations, like, someone has to look through it. And here we see this CloudWatch keyword. So here it detects a failure, but rather than triggering an automation, it notifies the system administrator. So there's a manual process again. So I think the right answer should be Amazon CloudWatch detects a system failure. So, like, a best practice is to have a CloudWatch trigger the automation provisioning a new server. So question number 6. A company wants to change some functionality of their website. They are unsure of what will happen if they make the changes. Which approach most closely follows AWS best practice? Change the production site while it's online. Use backup to undo the change. So this is a very bad practice. Change the production site during offline maintenance hours. Use backups to undo the change. So this is also quite possible. Provision a new server and make changes to it. Use DNS to gradually migrate user to the new server. Shut down the original server after all user migrates. So this is also quite possible. Test the change on the existing development server. Change the production site during off maintenance hour. Use backup to undo the change. So this is also a hassle, like we have to test another server. So I think the best answer here would be this option C, because we are gradually migrating the user to the new server, so there is no downtime. So the users are not facing any hassle. So if I was me, I would choose option C. So this is the correct answer. This approach describes rolling development. Both servers are online at the same time. Undo is faster than the other options presented. AWS enable rolling development through dynamic provisioning of disposable virtual server instances. So let's continue with question number 7. A company stores read-only data in Amazon Simple Storage. Most users are in the same country as the company headquarters. Some users are located around the world. Which design decision most closely follows Amazon Web Services best practices? Use a bucket in the AWS region closest to the company headquarters. Use a bucket in the AWS region that has the lowest average latency for all users. Replicate objects across bucket in AWS region around the world. Users access the bucket in the AWS region closest to them. Use a bucket in the AWS region closest to the Amazon company headquarters. All users access the data through Amazon CloudFront. So we can see from here, a company stores read-only data in Amazon, like only read-only data. That means the data will readily change, right? So second option is also like the first option is also like a possible answer, because if we place the AWS to the AWS region closest to company headquarters, so it will be fast. Number of hops will be lower. But if we use CloudFront, so we can use something like caching. So this is a better answer, I think. Oh yes, so it's saying the solution uses caching. So this is the right answer. So a consultant must access a large object in S3 bucket. They need a day to access the file. Which method for granting access most closely follow Amazon Web Services best practices? Create a pre-signed URL to the object that expires in 24 hours and give it to the consultant. Enable public access to the S3 bucket. Give the object URL to the consultant. Copy of the object to the new S3 bucket. Enable public access in the new bucket. From the new bucket, get the object URL and give it to the consultant. Create a user account for the consultant. Grant the user account permission to access the S3 bucket through the Amazon AWS Management Console. So if we see here, so if we give access by using this enable public access, that means everyone would be able to access it. And if we choose the present URL, the object that, so if we create an present URL, we'll give him for 24 hours, and then it will automatically expire after 24 hours. Okay, here also we have to copy the object, so there's an hassle. So if we, like in this option D, if we forgot to delete the user account, then he will have access for lifetime. So I think the best answer should be creating a pre-signed URL to the object, and it will automatically expire after 24 hours. Question number 9. What are the main considerations that influence which AWS region to use? So we should always remember here what the question is asking, AWS region. So here it should be latency. It should be compliance with the laws and regulation. And what are the main considerations that influence which availability zone to use? So it should be like protection against localized natural disaster, and then the other should be resiliency, application resiliency during system failure. So this is also correct. So we have scored 100 out of 100 in this module. So good to have you here. So see you again in module 3 knowledge check. I hope you were able to learn something from here. So see you in another module.